Jai Shri Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram. Gandhi's political guru was Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Gopal Krishna's guru was Mahadev Govind Ranade. Mahadev Govind Ranade, 1842 to 1901. He was the editor of a Marathi weekly Hindu Prakash. He was a lecturer in the Elphinstone College, Bombay, and later he became the judge of the Bombay High Court. And he was the leader of the moderate wing of Congress Party. Now, he declared that Hinduism is vitiated because of 5 basic defects. Let us see what he said. He said Hinduism is polluted, vitiated, damaged, weakened, undermined because of 5 defects. 1. Aversion to communicate with the world. This is something very interesting, isn't it? We Hindus should talk more about Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and indulge in what I call a proleptic approach. Prolepsis, Prolepsis, which means answering the question, unasked question. Answering an unasked question. When you are delivering a talk, you must be in a position to intuit what could be the question that might arise in the mind of the listener and answer that question even before the listener asks that question. That will be terrific because the listener will be greatly impressed. So, we should indulge in prolepsis also, because very often people may not question us because perhaps they don't want to offend us. Perhaps they think they might think that we are dumb and irrational, but they don't want to offend us, therefore they will not ask a question, and then they will go with a negative opinion about ourselves, and we might mistakenly think that we have convinced them. So this is dumbness, this is not communication. True communication would include a proleptic approach. You must also, in fact that's what I do in my pravachans. I tell people, when I'm talking about Bhagavad Gita, there are some questions you should be asking me, and perhaps you won't ask me because you don't want to embarrass me by asking tough questions, or perhaps you even pity me because you are already convinced that after all Bhagavad Gita contains something like this, that the body dies and Atma does not die, and you have to do your duty, and that's it. That's the end of the matter, and anything else you say is irrational and all that. So anyway, we are listening to you. So this kind of an attitude. Now, so we must address a lot of unasked questions. We must tell them. I actually tell them, you see, you should be asking. You should be asking whether listening to Bhagavad Gita, following Bhagavad Gita, will it make us rich? You won't ask such a question, because if you ask such a question, I might feel embarrassed, upset, because after all Bhagavad Gita is not a book about how to become rich. That's what people think, isn't it? But the truth is exactly that. Bhagavad Gita will make you rich. Yes, it will make you rich. And that's how I start. So there are so many questions which people don't ask. We must mention them, tell them why they don't ask, and then prod them to ask even the most hostile questions. But you must be ready to answer them. You must have thought out these kind of questions. I have done that. I have done that homework. So we should communicate with the world. We should be in a position to explain why we do all the samskaras, all the rituals. Everything in Hinduism has an explanation. Unfortunately, most of us don't take care to find out, and as a result we are defensive. We continue participating, and some of them have given up also because they have got mentally colonized. They think Islam and Christianity are far superior and the Western world is superior. Therefore, they are even getting converted, or they are on the verge of being converted. They are all naam ke vaste, namesake Hindus. They are not sincere Hindus. They are fake pseudo Hindus, pretending to be Hindus, just Janma Hindus. I am a Karma Hindu, and Janma Hindu, all right, but I am a Karma Hindu. I am actually a practicing living Hindu. So we must make all these Westerners and any human being, we must tell them that they can become human beings, or they can acquire the eligibility to be called a human being only when they follow Krishna. Sounds offensive, but well, I am ready. So we must make them Diksha Hindu. So some are Janma Hindu and some are Karma Hindu. That is, the best Hindu is a Karma Hindu. Others can be made Diksha Hindu. So you can convert. See, we can convert them. How do you convert a non-Hindu into a? Go to Arya Samaj, they will conduct a few rituals, because rituals also are important. They are the scaffolding. They will create a certain psychological impressions which are very vital. And then, of course, more vital than all the actual physical activities is the mental impression at a deeper level, when you have understood that the tenets and the dogmas of the other religions are completely irrational, and then you should be in a position to discard them without any guilt and with clarity, actually. And then you can accept the principles of Hinduism, which are deeply spiritual and which will appeal to any person who is intelligent. Hinduism is a religion for intelligent people, not for idiots. Of course, there are many Hindus, unfortunately, they are not making any effort to learn the profound meaning. They are just blindly following. That's not a good thing. That is dumb. It's like a donkey carrying, a load of sandalwood or a load of gold and diamonds. But the donkey has no idea what is the worth of its luggage that it is carrying. We should not be like that. Krishna condemns that also. So don't be like a donkey carrying a load of sandalwood. You must know the value, the worth of the diamonds that you carry on your back. Okay. So we must communicate with the world. Mahadev, Govind, Ranade. First reason is Hindus have an aversion to communicate with the world. We should communicate, and actually now I think we should over communicate. We should bombard all social media platforms with Hinduism. That's what exactly I am doing. Not many are watching my videos, it doesn't matter. But I am waiting for that day when I will become a celebrity, and then all these videos will go viral. Okay? Then perhaps I might face a little flack also for my outspoken comments on certain things. I am waiting for that day. My time will come, don't worry. So aversion to communicate with the world. Second, obedience toward strong authorities and authority figures rather than the promptings of one's own antaratma. That is point number 2. This is another very deep principle. See, there might be Ananta Shastram, Bahuveditavyam, Alpaschakalam, Bahavascha Vigna, Yatsara Bhutam Tadupasitavyam, Hamso Yada Kshiram Mishram. Krishna said, there are too many Shastras, there is very little time, too many obstacles, and so much to learn. Therefore, be smart. Like a Hamsa, separate the milk from the water, take the essence and keep moving. And all knowledge is within us. Education is the manifestation of divinity within man, Swami Vivekananda. Therefore, knowledge is already contained within our Atma. Our job is to look inward, and once we awaken our Antaratma, then we will have a clear understanding of what is Dharma and Adharma. The Bhagavad Gita need not be read. It is already within ourselves. You have to tap into the Bhagavad Gita. You have to open a hotline with Krishna, because Krishna is seated in your heart. So you can communicate directly with him. Anyway, reading Bhagavad Gita will also speed up the process and enhance your understanding of what is Dharma, what is life, what is the purpose of life, how we should conduct ourselves. And so I don't need any holy book. See, a good Hindu, true Hindu does not need any holy book, because his heart is the holiest of all holy books. My heart is the holiest of all holy books, and my antaratma, the English word is conscience, my antaratma, which is Sri Krishna himself, He, my Antaratma, will tell me what is right and what is wrong. I am very clear. I don't have, even if God gives me a command which I consider unethical, I won't follow him. Right? But that is not the case with other religions. Their books are full of filth, lechery, butchery, treachery, absurdity, uh, and bigotry. Bigotry. Bigotry means intolerance. A bigot is intolerant. Bigots are people who believe that the other unbelievers are infidels, and who will go to eternal hell, and therefore who should either be proselytized, which is converted, or subjected to an inquisition, which was a medieval tribunal to stamp out heresy. Today, inquisition would mean interrogation with torture. So, all means, fair and foul, by hook or crook, these two religions, Christianity and Islam, will try. They are aggressively predatorial religions. They proselytize aggressively. And in this proselytization process, all means are used. They will fool people, they will induce people, they will talk about miracles and how, cancer can be cured and all kinds of things. You can go to the dargah, that Dilip Kumar became A.R. Rahman. There are innumerable stories about how gullible Hindus have got converted. So, because in these two religions, their belief is even if you tell lies and fool that fellow and convert him to our religion, he will be saved, and I will get the credit and blessings of the God for having, converted this fellow. Otherwise, that fellow is going to eternal hell. Now he will go to eternal heaven along with me. So, you should be very clear. We should communicate with the world. That is the first one. I must communicate with the world and tell them exactly what I think of their holy books and exactly what they should consider as holy after I tell them what is there, what is contained in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of the Vedas. So, aversion to communicate with the world was the first problem. Second is obedience to strong authority figures or authorities rather than the promptings of one's own Antaratma. This is the second thing. Okay, stop eating meat. No animal sacrifice. Vedas does not support it. Many Hindus are eating meat even now. They are so addicted. On Sunday they have to go to a Muslim shop and buy. Oh my God, they are eating papam. Please stop eating this. I used to eat, but more than 10 years now I have stopped. More than 10 years. And now I am feeling much better. So please stop eating meat. It's papam. Third one, social inequality and caste-based arrogance. Now, these inequalities, slowly we have to reduce that. At least, one thing is certain, the rich will become richer, the poor will become poorer, because the poor don't do what the rich do. The poor should learn how the rich are becoming rich. Barring, of course, the criminals who are becoming rich, a person who studies, acquires a skill, goes on to become successful, then become rich. That is the right way to become rich. Whereas the poor send their children to, madrasas, unfortunately, and the many others, even Hindus and Christians, you will find they are addicted to TV programs. They waste all their time, and as a result, they don't acquire any useful skills, and therefore they will remain poor. So these 80% don't do what the 20% does, and therefore they remain part of the 80%. So this is what is important. We need to understand this much. But fortunately, you see, the poor also have cell phones, color TVs, vehicles, cars, if not cars, bikes at least. So living conditions have improved, but the gap, we will probably never be able to close that huge gulf. But the quality standard of living of the poor has improved. That itself is a great consolation. Caste based arrogance. This is a serious problem in Hindu society. Though, of course, caste does not exist. There is no caste in Vedas or Bhagavad Gita. We have Jati, Kula, Varna and Gotram, which are all scientific. Jati, family, tree. Kula, family, profession. Varna is the psychological temperament. You must choose a profession that fits your temperament. See, I am a Brahmin by temperament. Though by birth I am a Brahmin, I am also a Brahmin by temperament, fortunately. See, people could be born in a Brahmin family, but by temperament they could be Kshatriyas or Vaishyas or Shudras or worse still, they are outside the Varna, completely outside the Varna, which means they don't have any of these skills. See, Brahmins or a Brahmin would mean a person who is fond of reading. He will read, he will acquire knowledge, he has a good memory capacity. It comes with practice, and then he is able to preach and teach and disseminate knowledge. This is the Brahmin's work. Some people are cut out, some people are born to do this. The child could be born in a Dalit's family. Yeah, Dalit is treated as the Panchama, isn't it? The fifth, outside the four. So, but still, he could be a Brahmin, right? So Brahmanatvam means this, but of course there has to be Satvika Brahmanatvam. But if he is using all this intelligence to harm everybody, like a mad scientist, evil genius, like Hitler, then that is not useful Brahmanism. That is a Brahmanism that is completely perverted. So that is dangerous. Next, so Jati, Kula, Varna, psychological temperaments. So each one should find a job which will be his calling, calling. A calling means a job for which you have great aptitude and passion. So within the same family, several children, four children could all belong to the different Varnas. One child could be of a Brahmin Varna, that is Brahmin temperament. The other could be Kshatriya temperament, one of Vaishya temperament, one of Shudra temperament. So MBTI, you can please take that MBTI, Myers-Briggs Typology Inventory. They have identified 48 temperaments in the world, which all are a kind of, it's a psychological classification, 48. The classification mentioned by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is much more powerful because it is infinite. The combinations are infinite, whereas MBTI only talks about 48. Krishna's theory in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedas, the Guna theory, produces combinations to an infinite variety. Okay, so this is not, I am not going to discuss that now here. So, Jati, Kula, Varna, Gotra. Gotra means the descent from a common male ancestor. And that is essential for us to know when we get married so that we don't end up marrying our sisters. Sagotra marriages are therefore dangerous because the recessive genes will get together and the children will be born with some congenital disease like Down syndrome or any other dangerous diseases because recessive genes can come together. In Islam and Christianity, they marry their own first cousins, and as a result, a vast percentage of children born in these two religions you will be finding they have terrible congenital diseases. Birmingham near London is a city where there is a huge immigrant Muslim population. Most of their children are objects of study for doctors in Birmingham because these children born of first cousin marriages are all products having some really extreme congenital diseases, Down syndrome and worse things like that. So they are providing specimens for doctors in London to study. So this is the useful contribution that the Muslim population in Birmingham is doing. So the whole purpose of this small discussion is in Hinduism there is no caste, we don't have caste. And our system is eugenic based. Eugenics means the science of selective breeding to improve the quality of the race. Unfortunately, their system is dysgenics. Dysgenics means bad breeding. When you cross two species which are inferior, you will produce a mutant which is worse, more dangerous than these two. So whereas eugenics is the science of selective breeding. If you cross a high yielding variety with a resistant variety, then you should get, if you manage the crossing, if you do genetic engineering, if you can engineer the process properly, then you will get a high yielding cow which is resistant, right? So that is what the whole framework of Hindu marriage attempts to do that. That is why this is called eugenics. Okay. Caste based arrogance is a serious problem in the whole of India. people have this arrogance that they belong to this caste. Though, of course, accounts of caste atrocities are all overblown, blown out of proportion. But it is still a menace, it is still a problem. Okay. Next, tolerance of evil, fourth one. See, this conspiracy of silence. Perhaps because we have been exploited, made slaves for 800 years, Muslim kings, though not the whole of India, they enslaved, they did jihad, genocide, ethnic cleansing, Kashmir, Malappuram, what is that, Mopla riots, Razakars in Telangana, everywhere. So we have this fear. Perhaps it is a transgenerational trauma that has got embedded in the genes itself, and as a result our atmas are infected with a certain fear. The atma cannot be infected, so the gene is infected, and we are scared to openly talk about something which is evil. See, this is what Mahadev Govind Ranade, who is the guru of Gandhiji's guru. Gandhi's guru Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale's guru was Mahadev Govind Ranade, who was a judge of Bombay High Court. He gave these 5 defects. He outlined. He delineated 5 defects because of which Hinduism is suffering, vitiated. Tolerance of evil. And again, the first principle becomes operative here. Tolerating evil and not willing to talk about it out of fear. We should be able to talk openly without abusing. I criticize Christianity and Islam, in fact, because I am inspired by Satyartha Prakash, which I read long ago, Swami Dayananda Saraswati's magnum opus. Please read that. 13th chapter and 14th chapter. 13th chapter Christianity, 14th chapter Islam. So, 13th chapter Christianity. Dayananda Saraswati ji subjects Christianity to such a severe critical analysis that any Christian, after reading that, I do not know how he can continue to remain a Christian. Same thing, 14th chapter Islam. Maharshi Dayananda Saraswati ji completely exposes the fallacies in Islam, after reading which many Muslims have converted to Hinduism. Mahendrapal Arya, make a note. You can go to YouTube. His original name, I think, was Mastan Ali or Mahabub Ali. He was a great Islamic scholar, and he was the Maulana of Bade Masjid in Lucknow. In 1 week's time, he read Satyartha Prakash. It took him 1 week to fully read it thoroughly, and he immediately converted to Hinduism. And he is now one of the biggest critics of Islam. His name now is Mahendrapal Arya. He is receiving many death threats. He lives in Delhi, somewhere in the outskirts. Mahendrapal Arya. And I am impressed with this man for the simple reason that he is a master of both Sanskrit and Arabic. Very rarely you will come across such people. So he can quote Quran effortlessly, because he was, for nearly 40 years of his life, he was a Hafiz, or he had completely memorized the Quran. Now he has completely rejected Islam because it's irrational, and espoused Sanatan Dharma, Hinduism. And he has studied Sanskrit, and he is now able to quote Vedas and Quran. So such great people are very rare. So that is tolerance of evil. So please study Satyartha Prakash. And the last one, Mahadev Govind Ranade says, indifference to material benefits leading to an incapacity to achieve worldly goals. So many Hindus mistakenly think that Hinduism means that you should stop bothering about making money, only moksha, or you should be submissive and all that. No. Janaka Maharaj, Krishna mentions Janaka, Lokasangraham evapi. Janaka was a very wealthy man. So, and he was the guru of Shuka Maharshi. Shuka Maharshi, who is the son of Vedavyasa. Shuka's guru is Janaka. Janaka was the king of Mithila. Siradhvaja was the father of Sita. Janaka is the name of a dynasty of kings. Janaka is a generic name. Sita's father was also a Janaka Maharaj, whose name was Siradhwaja. Siradhwaja. So he was all Janakas were great emperors. They were very wealthy and they were very learned and very scholarly, very spiritual. They were considered Maharshis. So, if you shun wealth, then you have not understood Hinduism. Yeah, Bhu Suktam, Lakshmi Suktam, Yoga Kshema Suktam. You will find the Vedas are not otherworldly. The Vedas are telling you that you must become rich. Uh, uh, Taittiriya Upanishad, I am very fond of quoting. कुशलान्न प्रमदितव्यम भूत्यैन प्रमदितव्यम कुशलान्न प्रमदितव्यम. Do not neglect your welfare. Bhutyaina pramaditavyam. Do not neglect your prosperity. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. Do not neglect the study of scriptures, that is Upanishad, Veda, Bhagavad Gita, and do not neglect teaching them. So the Veda is clearly saying you should become rich, because without wealth you cannot do any dharmic activity. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayadhyati patratvam, patratva dhanam apnoti, dhana dharma tatas sukham. Without dhana you cannot do any dharmic activity, and if you don't do any dharmic activity, there is no question of sukha, no happiness possible. So this indifference to material benefits should be shrugged off. We should be totally involved. Any organization that is telling you to donate everything and become a sannyasi and don't marry, become a bachelor, I don't want to name them. These stupid institutions, we must reform them. They are otherwise doing great work, but in certain areas they are undermining Hinduism. They are forcing young people to become bachelors. I mean, honestly, if I say this, somebody might get angry. Swami Vivekananda was a Ishvara Koti. That means he came on his own volition. Some people are called Ishvara Koti. That means Jivan Muktas who decide to be born, who voluntarily get born, take birth in order to help people like you and me. So, they are called Ishvara Koti. That's what Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said. So, Vivekananda is an exception. Now, just for the sake of the thought experiment, see, I dare say, if Vivekananda had married and produced, let us say, 10 or 20 children, if he had 4 wives and he had produced about 20-30 children, then, oh my God, with the kind of upbringing that he is capable of, he would have established a huge library of Vedanta in his house, and his children would have all become as great as himself, or perhaps even greater than Vivekananda himself, isn't it? So, it would have been a great thing if Vivekananda had married. Now, some people may get offended when I talk like this, but the purpose of my talking like this is not to give offense. See, in the Puranas, Agastya Mahamuni remained a bachelor for considerable period of time. But one day, the story is said that he stumbled into a cave where he saw his ancestors hanging upside down in the cave and wailing. And he asked them why. They said, you see, because you have not married. If you marry, then we can be born as your children. So unless our Atmas, which have to, undergo the karmic repercussions, we need a body to be born. And only if you marry, we can be born through you. But because you are not marrying and not producing children, we are now in limbo. Limbo. Limbo means an intermediate space. Hanging in limbo, career in limbo. That means बीच में लटक रहे हैं. So धोबी का कुत्ता ना घर का ना घाट का. So they were wailing that Baba, please get married. So then Agastya Mahamuni married Lopamudra, and that is how his ancestors got relieved. That is why Putra, Putri. The Sanskrit term for son is Putra, for daughter is Putri. The Sanskrit terms, every word has a deep meaning, profound meaning, and the etymology is so very interesting. Putra basically means, or Putri basically means, the offspring who will prevent you from going to a hell called Put. Put is the name of a hell, particular type of hell. You will go to that hell. And your offspring can actually undertake such activities that can relieve you from going to hell. So, by being born, they can save you. That is why they are called putra or putri. The putri or putra can save you from going to hell. So, you have to marry and produce putras and putris. Please. So, please marry and try to produce as many children as possible. Of course, with careful. You have to manage them also. Hum panch hamare 25 or hamare 50 is not good. Okay. So, you see in America and in the Western world, rich people produce more children, while the poor either don't marry or have one or two. In India, it is ulta. The rich are producing very few children or probably becoming infertile also, and the poor are producing more children. And as a result, we are having a very low quality IQ population, because the poor cannot provide, even if every child is a born genius, remember. But if the child is not given the right environment, how can he achieve anything worthwhile in life? So, we are producing a very high percentage of low IQ people. So, in the Yoga Kshema Suktam, in the Vedas, you have Prithvi Suktam, you have so many Suktams, you will find this concept. It is a prayer to the Supreme Lord Brahman to bless us with high IQ progeny, so that there will be great teachers and great warriors and great businessmen and great skilled artisans, Shudras. So, this is a prayer. So, O Lord, please make sure that we have such intelligent Brahmins, intelligent, capable Kshatriyas, intelligent, capable Vaishyas, and intelligent, capable Shudras. So, this is a prayer. So, indifference to material benefits, that is dangerous. We must acquire wealth as much as possible. And I dare say, this might be something controversial. As usual, I love to say things sometimes controversial. See, if we don't loot, the others are anyway looting. I don't name them, because they feel looting the infidel is their holy duty. The other religions, the other two, they are taught that cheating and looting the unbeliever, that is the infidel, kafir, pagan, heathen, gentile, is a duty. It is nothing wrong. They can indulge in deception, cheating. When it comes to cheating the infidel, it is a holy obligation, duty. So, my point is, if you look at so many 2000 years of history, Christians and Muslims, they have come and looted. Only the Parsis did not loot. The Parsis who fled, Zoroastrians, they are true patriots. They are a minority, but they are the real minority. Only less than 1 lakh are there in the country, and they have produced great pioneers in every area. Tata, Manekshaw, Are Baba, so many names, I don't want to now get into that. So they are great people, they are great patriots who are immigrants, who are the true minority. But these fellows, they are in so many crores and still claiming minority benefits. It's a bloody joke. These two religions actually, they are actually majorities. They are like a multinational corporation, they are the local office of a multinational corporation. So calling them minority itself is a joke. Muslims and Christians in India cannot be called minorities, because they belong to the world majority, and they have a small office. They have not small office, they have offices everywhere in the country. And besides that, the population also percentage wise has increased to such an extent, they cannot be less than 5% of the population. The total population, if the number is less than 5%, then only they can be called minority. Even otherwise also they are not minority. That's the point I am trying to make. So they are part of a multinational corporation, and they are not behaving like minority. They are not minorities also, Baba. In our stupidity and our false sense of secularism, we have allowed this nonsense to continue, and we are suffering even now, and nobody has the courage to speak the truth. This is evil. This is pure evil. We Hindus, I am not, a person like me should be employed by a temple to deliver talks on Bhagavad Gita every day. But nobody is calling me. I have to beg people. Please invite me, I will come and talk. They won't. They will not listen to me. So this is a sad situation. And the temples should actually be hiring people like me, and if they pay me well, handsomely, I will develop a library. I will undertake so many initiatives to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita, but I am totally handicapped. And on top of it, my own, a member of my own community has duped me, cheated me of 60 lakhs in a land deal. And the whole society is watching. And I do not know whether justice will be rendered. That's a different thing anyway. So, this is a sad situation. So what I am saying is, if we don't loot, they will anyway loot. Or if you can't loot, you must at least make sure that they don't loot. But have we been able to stop them from looting? Last 2000 years they have been invading, looting. The Christian East India Company, for how many years? 200 years nearly. Though not the whole of the country, they have looted. After the government of India, the biggest landholder is Waqf Board, Muslims, and then the Christian Church. And if they are minorities, why should they hold so much land? All the land should have been confiscated by the government of India in 1947, which they did not do because of a misplaced emphasis on tolerance and secularism. And as a result, we are still suffering, but they are looting temple property happily, because temples are still under Endowment Act and the government is looting us. And we are watching, bystanders, mute spectators. This is the problem. Indifference to material benefits. See what Mahadev, Govind, Ranade said. So I have done my best to explain those principles. I will just summarize them quickly. Why is Hinduism so weak, benighted, vitiated, polluted now? According to Maharshi Mahadev Govind Ranade, 1. Aversion to communicate with the world. Communicate with the world. Tell them what is Bhagavad Gita and tell them what they are. Purva Paksha, due diligence. 2. Give up obedience to authority figures and authoritative texts. Follow the promptings of your Antaratma. 3. Eliminate all forms of social inequality. Uniform civil code, of course, has to come. Unconditional positive regard. See Rama in everyone. And completely uproot caste-based arrogance, because caste does not exist in Hinduism. Stop tolerating evil. Have the courage to speak about evil. At least we should put them to shame so that they stop indulging in these evil practices. Child marriages and so many things I don't want to because you already know. And the last thing is indifference to wealth. We must acquire wealth. We must become like Janaka Maharaja. We must be rich in the material sense and also spiritual sense. Only then India can become Vishwa Guru. Jai Shri Ram. So Mahadev Ranade ji, he also stressed the importance of social justice and political rights. He said, if we fail to achieve our political rights, we cannot build a healthy and ideal society. Therefore, Hindus should unite and make sure that people like Modi, Yogi continue in power. If you allow any other fellow to come to power, we have already seen what has happened. Our textbooks are full of lies. Hindu kids loathe Hinduism. They don't know anything about Hinduism, or they have started hating Hinduism. They have become wokes. Wokeism, woke culture and raunch culture. Completely mentally colonized. More educated means more colonized. Educated Indian means a victim of the Indian education system. This is a joke. We have become a bloody joke. Our universities are a joke. Our universities, there is no education there. It's only politics. So, if we fail to achieve a social structure based on dharma, then we will destroy ourselves. Jai Shri Ram.